Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to National United, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandez, and
I'm Chris Wardna. Hello.
Welcome to the show that never ends. We're about to review The Most Important Day Ever, written by Gene Braunstein and Robert Perlow. Chris will probably have facts about the three of them later on into the podcast.
Indeed.
This is the very first episode of Season 7. We're almost at the end of the show. This is the final full season, which will feature Cindy Williams. And there are very few changes that will happen to the show's current formula during Season 7 at this point. After the tumultuous California move, Season 6, very little is going to change. Ratings have gone up during Season 6, so everybody at ABC went, okay, let's not fool around too much with the formula. It's okay as is, because we went from all the way out of the top 20 back up to number 20, which is still something. I believe that the ratings went up further to 14th place. I'm going to double check that when we come to our final episode of the season, but I believe it went up even higher during this season. A lot of storylines this season are going to revolve around the fact that everybody's growing up, everybody's starting to push 30. All the characters are going to be roughly 27, 28 at this point. They're going to be 28, 29 in Season 8 that gets mentioned. So we got a lot of we're not kids anymore, what are our goals, what are we doing this season, which is an interestingly mature theme for Laverne and Shirley.
It is. It's not unexpected, just given how much the show has been about growing up and getting out there on your own, like really since the first season. And it's sort of like one of those, if the writing and show running was more consistent, I think reaching this point more organically, would have been reached more organically. As it is, it I wouldn't say it comes out of left field. It's like something we sort of knew was coming, but it just feels unexpected in some of the stories we've experienced so far.
Yeah. Because it very much feels like it becomes a factor when we reach California.
Right.
But things start changing then. We do get some, hints that in Season 5, people start to mature emotionally and spiritually and in their relationships and in their personal growth in Season 5. But it becomes even more of a thing as you keep going during Season 7. There's going to be a lot more episodes focused on the boys and on Frank and on Carmine because at this point, allegedly, and I'm saying heavily allegedly, but they did reference this in their autobiographies, Penny and Cindy were fighting again. And they didn't want to be within each other's eyesight at that point for a lot of Season 7, but they still put it together. Still made it work.
Yeah.
So we have two big changes. There are just two changes that are going to be happening this season. One is that we have lost Betty Garrett. I know. As we heavily addressed in Child's Play, she is off doing a Broadway play at this point. And she's not going to be brought back in after the play is over. So Edna is invisible during Season 7, existing in the background in the kitchen somewhere. And in Season 8, her disappearance will be addressed. Poorly, but it will be addressed. And one more thing to note, Michael McKean and David Lander, they're finally in the front of the credits instead of the back of the credits.
Mm-hmm. It's finally, top of the credits, ma.
Top of the credits, ma. Third and fourth billing. That's an improvement. That is an improvement. It's a cute little moment, too.
Mm-hmm.
So they deserve all that. Here's what the episode's about. Laverne's day with a seemingly awesome dreamboat results in her landing face first in the lake. It turns out that she's managed to land herself a married man. Again. While she's out drying off, the girls' apartment is invaded by Latvian acrobats, the amazing Snickerskis, who are herded upstairs by the boys, where they plan on stalling them for the ensuing 12 hours. It turns out the boys have landed a spot in a nationally televised show, The Hollywood Palace, for them. The girls don't believe the boys' story until Laverne makes out with one of the acrobats and is promptly assaulted by his wife, who decants for parts unknown with her sister, leaving the act down to performers thanks to Laverne's hot lips. Guiltily, the girls step in, and it turns out being a ta-da girl actually involves elaborate death-defying acrobatics. Can they save the day for the boys? What do you think of this episode?
It's a episode I enjoy a lot of the dialogue of, but I've mentioned since season 6 there are parts that are finally starting to come undone for me and for this show. this is where I started to begin to realize that it has something to do in like the timing and the rhythm of the editing. And I'm noticing some of it is because of the fact that they're waiting for the laugh track to kick in. And I almost wonder that if Turbovic or Trobovic was having the issue that he wasn't able to kind of, because he didn't have like the theater background like Rafkin and Zwick did, you know, because he had kind of worked on a bunch of different projects and a bunch of different things. It's almost as if they're using the editing to kind of speed things up. And because of it, it's not having the sort of rhythm, even though like in the wide shots and when it comes to like the physical gags in this episode, they're, you know, fantastically executed. Like the performers themselves are doing a bang up job. But there is something about this episode. Now, I know I'm jumping right into the technical talk, but there is something about this episode and really this whole batch of episodes that we started off season 7 with that just bugs me. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I think that's what it is. So I like the episode. I don't know if I love the episode. I don't think I love the episode. And something about it is just grating on me. Despite the fact that I would say almost all of the stuff with the boys is hilarious. The physicality of it is really good. I also, you know, I also have to say, when it comes to the character stuff, what really bugs me is the whole, like, almost kind of slut-shamey aspect to the way that Laverne is handled. And it felt like, oh, this is a thing that, you know, she just does now, that she is so easy-breezy, Lucy girl, that she's, as we just pointed out, she's 27. Girl, you know better by now. You know the signs way easier by now.
Yeah. This becomes part of Laverne's Flanderization. It becomes a running theme in season 7 and season 8, where she's just over the top horny and not paying attention. This isn't even the last married man she's going to get involved with in season 7.
Oh God.
Like this becomes a recurring theme. There's all kinds of things that happen in various episodes where she's just not behaving wisely or carefully anymore. And it gets to the point where you're like almost wondering if the writer's room is judging Penny or judging Laverne from on high. It does not come off well.
It does not.
But it becomes a flattening out of her character. Laverne's always had fun, always been here to make out with guys, always been here to make out with other people. But this takes it to the point where she's not even thinking before she's leaping, which was a season 1, season 2 Laverne trait, and she grew up, you know, in the ensuing years. And now, all of a sudden, we're back in season 7, and Laverne is sitting here doing unwise things like kissing multiple married men without thinking. Now, to her credit, it's not her fault. It's not her fault when it comes to the second acrobat.
Yeah. But even
the
then,
only acrobat.
The implication is, and this is the other thing I also have the issue with these episodes, it never makes the guy as the bad guy. Laverne is somehow the villain in the way it's treated tonally, and by pretty much everybody involved here in the show, because bearing in mind, this is something that Penny had enough control. She could have looked at the script and said, absolutely not. So she's absolutely complicit in this Flanderization of the character. And, you know, I'm not going to give her necessarily a pass on it, but I will say I agree that I think the fact that these are getting brought up as plot points with the writers and things like that, you know, the writers are coming back to this. What frustrates me as well is that in many ways for this episode, the prologue element of having her dripping wet and all that sort of stuff, the only reason that's even there is to set up that she would mistakenly get involved with a married man. And therefore, when Janos comes onto her, or she's able to come onto Janos, because Janos is already kind of giving her the signals anyway. Yeah. That, you know, and again, we'll get back to that. You know, the bad guy really, the bad guy here is the dude, because the dude should be like, he fucking knows better.
Yeah.
He knows
he's married.
Yeah.
He knows he's married.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, oh no, I'm sorry. When I leave my wedding ring off for the last, 3 years, I've suddenly forgotten that, those vows. What was that again that I said? To have to hold forever till death do you something. I don't know who I said.
My tongue accidentally fell in your mouth, baby.
Yeah. Right. Oh God. Yeah. And so anyway, it's just like, So that's something that really holds it back, and it's a bummer because otherwise, there is a energy that is prevalent through the episode that is wild and hilarious, and like again, those zinger bits of timing, like Penny getting ready to sit down while she's still dripping wet from the lake, and Cindy's not even looking at her when she delivers the line, the don't even think of sitting on that couch, like that. Those moments, are fantastic, but it just so I like it with a lot of caveats. What about you? Like, what's your take on this one?
I'm going way higher on this one. I'm just going to go way higher on this one. I have a lot of fondness for the boys are trying to better themselves here.
Mm-hmm.
The boys are bettering themselves. They're trying to move north. Lenny, after years of being insecure about his intelligence, actually took a course in conversational Latvian to get these acrobats into the States and get them on TV. To me, that's huge. Shirley and Carmine's relationship is progressing.
Mm-hmm.
The girls have a really great rapport going on. A lot of the parts that work, and the girls stepping in and going, okay, in Laverne's case, okay, I messed this up. I stopped in your dreams. I'm going to solve this for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the boys are genuinely, so excited and so nervous and so into it. And the girls are so genuinely there for them and so genuinely care about them here. So for me, it outdoes and overcomes and makes it worth the while slogging through the flanderization issues, because it's going to get worse deeper in the season, to be frank.
And that's the catch is, we're coming at it from these two different perspectives. How bad it's going to get. I'm still the innocent little, I've encountered the first punch to the gut, and you're aware of what it's going to be like once my fingernails are torn off. And
Nuns
so
with pickles.
Yeah, God, no, we're not talking about the nuts with pickles this time. No,
it's related.
But anyway, though, because I agree. I love all of the Lenny and Squiggy stuff in this is amazing. Yeah. There's a little bit of an awkward, when I was talking about the awkward editing and pacing, one of the weird ebb and flow moments is when David does that amazing madness thing. He's sitting on the step, on the floor essentially of the sunken room, and he's like, "No, it isn't. Yes, it is." Yeah. And it felt very Evil Dead to me, and it suddenly made me realize we were denied David Lander and Bruce Campbell in the same movie.
Yeah, that would have been amazing, and it was very, very doable in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
And in the 90s, when he was still active,
mm-hmm.
It could have been done.
Could have been done.
It could have been done, and we never got that. That would have been fun.
Yep.
To do them running a fun house together.
Oh yeah.
In a haunted amusement park.
Oh God. Oh my God. That would be. So now I'm trying to imagine Squiggy as Grunkle Stan and Bruce as Seuss, the handyman.
Yeah. An even more innocent and more handsome Seuss.
Exactly.
With great pecs. There you go. He did. He had the 80s.
I know he did. I've seen some of these films. But back to the show.
Maniac Cop.
I've seen Maniac Cop. Yes, I have.
You see him coming out of the bed.
I want to point out though, Leonard, I'd like to put you in my position. Okay. And the way Lenny Michael pulls off getting into the same sitting position, and it's almost sort of like, this is. I love the expression of "this is interesting" on his face. Like those.
Yeah.
There's dynamite moments like that. Yeah.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, I agree. This is what it's like to be a girl, he seems to be thinking. This is what it's like to be elegant like Shirley.
Yes.
Poised like Shirley.
Yes.
This is interesting. That's fascinating.
And you pointed out as well, Carmine, the relationship, and Carmine's great in this episode. I love that he's even saying I know it's not what you think. This is a real deal. He has looked into this and he's like, holy crap, the guys have actually done something. And I love that he is also so dedicated to this working out that even though it is heavily implied that Shirley cruised the alleys of Smut City with him and still got nothing out of him, and he got something, that big grin on his face.
Yeah.
There is something super cute about that, and it's very yet it's still also very Carmine in the right way. I feel like
there's kind of a look of at last about it, and he's very dreamy eyed about it. He's really into Shirley. He's going to be very into Shirley this season, which is what makes what happens in season 8 even more annoying. He's going to be super into her this season, super attentive, a good boyfriend. Hits a lot of destiny anvils during the season for them, and the fact that they didn't pay off those destiny anvils is going to be super annoying. Oh, it'll be super annoying as time goes on.
It's so the thing though is that this is a really strong script. I feel like that's the thing. It's a mostly really strong script, and it's another episode where all of these different, because it's, we're jumping back and forth because there is so much out going on. I mean, like an acrobatic act, it's a very energetic episode. This is like one of those, like, puts its finger in the bulb socket, just like bzzzt, zap the audience into the new season kind of premieres. And I don't know, I feel very strange. Like, even when it comes to the acrobatic act, it doesn't grab me dramatically the way that other more simply staged and shot scenes have in the past in this show. It's very strange. I'm like I said, I'm still trying to figure out exactly why, but it does feel like it's the way it's paced and edited and things like, and the laugh track is getting really distracting. And I have to say, like, I was surprised at actually how far physically this episode goes, like both in the acrobatic scene and even earlier where, like, Shirley gets picked up and dragged to the bedroom, and by it's got a lot of pizzazz, but I don't know.
Yeah. For me, it works. And, it just works better for me. It grabs me better than it grabs you. I do not quite know why, but we'll find out as the season unfolds beneath our feet.
Yeah, I do worry about this though for me because because the next 4 in a row are Tom's episodes, and all 4 of them kind of suffer from this issue. Now, when we get to the 3rd episode, not to jump ahead, I do think that has to do with the fact that the DVD edit is very severely cut because it's a considerably shorter episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worries me because this is Tom's 4th episode for Laverne and Shirley, and he's got a lot more to go.
Yeah. He basically becomes the main director of the show for season 7 and season 8.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of episodes to go. He basically becomes the linchpin, holding things together.
It definitely, and this is not a dig at him, by the way. This is just because, everybody works on shows that don't go anywhere. Tons of stuff goes to pilot, gets a few episodes to air. But like Joel Zwick, as an example, most of the shows that he directed the pilot episode for or kind of set the standard for, those shows went on to become successes. And many of them, he actually quite a few, I'd say like 4 or 5 of them, he stayed for pretty much the entire run of that show, that sitcom. Tom, on the other hand, most of the shows he worked on, including the one I was going to bring up today, Baby Makes 5, like, those were non-starters. They basically got, like, some of these shows that he worked on, like, got a few, 4 episodes. Like, they made 5 or 8 of them, and by this time the second episode aired, network canceled them. And this comes up regularly. So and he's very hard to find information on what his perspective about, like his sort of talking shop. It's really hard to do. So it's really hard to track down. So I don't know. I know I'm going in circles about this. Like, I wish I could elucidate what it is that's wrong, but I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is. But I do know the shot-to-shot edits I began to notice was the problem here. I definitely notice it in an episode coming up, which we're going to go into. It's unfortunate because, there is so much coverage. There are so many camera angles. There's so much, like, material for them to work with.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing when the wife comes in, when Zola comes in and starts fighting it out with Laverne, and then there's, in the wide shot, Lenny and Squiggy come in, and Squiggy's like, oh, look, they're rehearsing, fantastic! And, like, that's, it's great madcap, timing, and...
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand, why do I basically look at this and go, I don't care? That's the thing I'm trying to figure out.
That might just be a fatigue. It might be because some elements of it aren't clicking. Your director brain is going no. And it probably is your director brain.
I'm hoping it is, because that will be a sign that I'm actually, like, getting director brain again. Because if anybody's noticed, I haven't been talking about the film directing side of things for, like, an entire season now of the show. And it's been killing me. Because it means I'm not a director anymore. But anyway,
well, you're a director still.
Yeah. I know. We'll have the off pod discussion about that. But so the other thing also is, in terms of, like, do you feel like, for you, like coming back to, I'm curious about your opinion, for instance. The one thing that's interesting, dynamite, I feel in this episode is just like how good like the joke writing is so consistent and like on the page, this must have read like gangbusters, you know, even it probably needed some touch ups and stuff like that. And so I was curious, like for you, because you've been writing a lot lately. In general, like you've been talking to me about, you know, the projects you're working on scripts and stuff like that. So what is it you get out of this? What does this teach you? What does this engage you with? You know, what is it that really connects?
For me, it's the way the patter plays out. It's a combination of the physical acting of the actors. Everybody, you know, manages to take the words on the page and turn into something real. That is always the skill set that every single member of this cast has had. So, you know, the little bits like the sitting and Penny's attempt at trying to make Laverne, trying to find out if this guy is married or not by looking at his socks and sniffing him. And then she and Phil over there desperately sniffing this guy, not knowing what the heck is going on. But the dialogue is really solid. I love little tiny lines of the way this one interlaces its jokes is really good. You first sense Shirley talking about cruising the side streets of Smut City with Carmine in a desperate attempt to get him to talk, and she goes, "I ain't get anything." He goes, "I got something." That's great. That's great. The way all the jokes interlace, like Squiggy screaming at Laverne that she's Laverne DeFluzio.
Oh yeah. It's
then he doubles down on that's right. DeFluzio!
DeFluzio. Oh God, yeah. And David again just coming back in with that amazing monologuing.
Yeah. If you gave David Lander a page or a half a page of dialogue, he could take that and turn it into a banquet. That was his skill. He could do that with, you know, almost like the flick of his wrist. He could just nail it to the wall. That was all excellent. That's all great. The physical acting by the boys as they're watching this happen, by the way, and they hear their agency being spoken, the name of their agency being spoken on national television, that's not only a powerful moment, it's a funny moment, the way they handle it. And then fainting as the girls almost fall off that pyramid, and everything about that is, you know, gangbusters. But the way the script lays out its dialogue is fabulous. Now, I will never know how much of this was rewritten for the final draft. I'll never know how much of this was came intact from other drafts of the script. But this is a really good, confident piece of work. And the way it interlaces how the girls speak in general with the boys' idea of figuring out their horoscopes via a jar. Let's read my horoscope. What is that? It's great. It's very boys. It's perfect.
It's like they've. It's like, do you figure like they take the, you know, the day's paper or something? They cut it into pieces, swirl it around with some water inside of a jar, and they look at it and they see the words that come out or something.
I had a feeling it was either tea leaves or them peeing in jars or something. I just hope it's not the latter.
So you were mentioning about the writing on the show. So this duo that wrote this, Bronstein and Perlow, they worked mostly on episodes when they on other shows together. I wanted to cover them separately as they had some divergences. So Robert Perlow is the guy also who wrote or is credited as writing The Diner in season 5.
Ah, that explains it. Season 5 is incredibly well put together, and The Diner, as always, remains a classic. So that explains a lot of what's going on here.
Yeah.
I will, by the way, come back to what this teaches me as a writer. I will after.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I was just going to mention about Perlow. He also, you know, you're talking about like how everything sort of flows together and understand the actors. Yeah. Perlow also worked as a warm-up artist for like Wonderama and was a bit player actor in the 80s, including playing a promoter in a season 8 episode. He is the TV reporter in Night of the Comet, so he's one of the guys I think from the opening sequence where they're talking about the comet coming. Yeah. He's in a couple of episodes of Night Court, and really weird connection, he's in Stunt Rock.
Oh, I watched Stunt Rock 2 months ago. That's hilarious.
And I just saw it this year with the director in attendance. Actually, it was really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. That's interesting. Interesting coinky dinks.
Because, like, on the other hand, Bronstein is kind of a, this was like the first kind of major writing of his career. You know, he then started working a little bit on Mork and Mindy, became a story editor for, like, Who's the Boss, and has another episode of Laverne and Shirley. And then he would, like, you know, kind of just jump around by, like, you know, Getting By and Full House, Mr. Belvedere. But so, like, I'm curious about, you know, like, how that, you know, relationship is, because it sounds like these two work together a lot. So
yeah.
Did Perlow have that experience of being in front of the camera, and did that relate? Anyway, so
yeah,
go ahead, back to what you were saying. Yeah.
What this teaches me about writing is to pay attention to your dialogue, pay attention to what your characters know, and what they know about each other, and let that inform everything. Because this absolutely benefits from being informed by who the characters are, aside from the slutty Laverne stuff, or the easy Laverne stuff. That takes what we know about Laverne and takes it a step too far and makes her foolhardy. But this is a good take on the boys' dynamic, a good take on the girls' dynamic with the boys, a good take on the girls' dynamic with each other, a good take on the Shirley and Carmine dynamic, and a good take on Frank's dynamic with Laverne. So this is incredibly well informed by who these characters are. So that's something I try to keep in mind when I write.
Very good. Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree with those feelings towards the episode as well, because I almost wonder if the whole, like, Laverne DeFluzio thing is because they wanted to have Shirley, you know, kind of go do the thing with Carmine, you know, and it's sort of like, well, if she's going to be able to go a little further with Carmine, which is definitely, you know, you and I were behind the scenes, we're trying to figure out, like, okay, how far did she actually go with him? And I'm wondering if it's because of that, they in turn felt Laverne had to go further ahead and had to be something more, and because that's the catch, right, is that this is at a time when still portrayals of sexuality were driven as a, there's that weird push-pull of open, as in, like, you know, honest or personal, or, you know, or basically, you know, it's like, don't take it too personally, you know, much more open-minded and promiscuous, healthily promiscuous, versus also the pull of, you can't go too far, you know, that it's still somehow shameful to be too involved, you know, to go to that.
Yeah. You'll figure it out eventually. You probably rewatch it enough, or are forced to rewatch it enough, or whatever.
Unfortunately, it will be the latter. Yeah, because because that's the catch. Is, like, I enjoy the episode, but I have zero intention of watching this ever again, and that's been becoming horrifyingly common with the California episodes.
It's interesting that was a dividing line for you. I don't know if it's because it's become less familiar. You were very familiar with the season 5. With the Milwaukee setting and the brewery, and everything staying blue collar, and then all of a sudden we're not blue collar and it's different, and we got Rhonda, and we got more of a Hollywood setting.
And a Hollywood setting that doesn't interest me. This is very, because I will also say, like, the way this is cut, the way the rhythm of this is edited, it feels more like typical sitcom. And what I liked in the first 5 years in the Milwaukee years is it felt more human. It felt like it was straddling that place between screwball comedy and kitchen sink drama.
Yeah. Most of the time, the show manages to still do that. We got some real doozies coming up.
It's true.
Some real good ones coming up. We haven't gotten there yet. We will. With time. I wanted to mention that I think one of the things that made me laugh the hardest in this episode was Laverne Soak coming in from her boat date. Shirley is having her ballet fantasy.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And the rhythmic door slamming. Yeah, that's great. I love that. We did get a good hello gag here. I think this week Marlon Perkins goes to the land of the lost loon.
Hello. Yeah, it's great. Oh, that's great. I love that one.
And Laverne having a thing about guys' feet, which is interesting in of itself.
Well, it's something her and Lenny, I guess, have in common, I guess? Something about feet?
Hey. She didn't enjoy it when it was happening in Milwaukee anyway.
Yeah, they remind me of something else, and I'm being distracted because the blender's going on off downstairs, but...
I got a thunderstorm, so...
Yeah.
I know what that is.
I think I might be getting mixed up with a later episode with... Oh, yeah. I think it's actually the next episode. But yeah, there was something kind of shippy in this episode that Oh, that's right. The dumber one. They can't agree which one's the dumber one. Shirley thinks it's Lenny and Laverne thinks it's Squiggy. My note is, and Lisa's going to go ship wild with that one.
Actually, I didn't pick that up as a ship tease. What I liked shipwise was when Shirley rips the popsicle off of Laverne's lip.
Yes.
And he goes immediately to comfort her.
Mm-hmm.
That's what tinged it for me.
Yeah, and he's kind of whispering, just like, I know, it's smart. Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah, he's babying her the way she babies him, which is a rarity.
Yep. So, anyway,
we learned Laverne's a Capricorn here.
Oh, yeah.
That's new info. That's one of the rare times we actually situate someone's birthday in a birth month. And it's in a month. I love no socks at all. And her desperation, to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yes. Speaking of that actor, Anthony, I will not actually try to pronounce that last name. It is of the type of name that I cannot, for the life of me, pronounce. But the actor played Janos. Unfortunately, he looks like a trained performer because he did stunts for The Man with Two Brains. But this is his only other credit aside from that. So I've done a little bit of digging. I've had no luck digging up any information on the guy. But he was fun. I think him and Penny had good chemistry.
Yeah. It was very cute.
Yeah.
It was very cute. If the circumstances were not what they were within the episode, it would be more fun to watch and explore things.
Mm-hmm.
But man, this episode gets away with some stuff like Shirley going, there are 5 more men upstairs, and Laverne going, great, 3-piece. This one's perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember our behind-the-scenes remarks about that were pretty over the top. We will not be saying them on pod, but private chat will know. Private chat will probably talk about it.
Oh, probably. And, top that with the tuna casserole joke. Okay, so, Frank's reaction to the situation is hilarious.
Yeah. It's like, is he Italian?
Yeah. And he is tired of the bums she's dating. So this is becoming an even worse pattern for her in California. She's managed to find the scumbags even in California. That's going to come up later on in the season. We'll talk about that more, too. Ugh. She has terrible taste in guys, especially in this season. I mean, at least the losers that she picked in Milwaukee were attractive physically.
They were attractive physically, or they were charismatic in their own way. Yeah. Even though Larry Bishop's character, Jake, was a scumbag, but he was charismatic. You could see why he'd be the leader of a gang, you know?
Yeah. The Rusties of the world, at least they're physically attractive.
Rusty, the one who I hope was hit by a bus and never heard of again.
Hong Kong.
They had to identify him by the texture of his hair because the face was all gone.
There you go. Dental work. Anyway.
No. The teeth were ground up into a nice little paste. A bus tire over a human head.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Future editor will cut this out.
Yeah. Also, we go on anyway.
We're going nuts, aren't we? We're going totally crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching an electrical storm happen outside my window, so yeah. I was going to say that even Norman, sweet Norman, you can understand why Laverne's attracted to Norman. You can understand why Laverne really fell hard for Randy. You understand why she really fell hard for Sonny. Because either they're very attractive or they have kind hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And with these guys, you wonder what the hell's going on. Because they're just mediocre, or they're horrible decisions. And it makes them look desperate. But yeah. Well, deeper in this season, we will have to talk about this more because, softball Mickey Mantle.
The Mickey Mantle was kind of cute, though. But I do love the exchange we were mentioning, Pop, and how it's like, I know what it looks like, Pop. It looks like I was sniffing him, but the truth is, I was sniffing him. And Frank's response is, why? Is it going bad? I love that. I now want that to be a thing. It's like, if ever, I'm expecting, if I ever, I'm holding you in my arms, Lisa, and I give a little sniff, you go, what, am I going bad?
Yeah, that'd be my reaction if I go bad.
Also, the grin on Carmine's face when he sits down after, the bimboski and the smack to the face and everything, back just the girls and Carmine sits down with a front row seat with the biggest grin on his face, oh yeah, I get to see this go down.
Yeah. He's watched them fight a bajillion times, but every time it's fresh to him.
Yep.
Carmen gets a lot of little great asides here.
Mm-hmm.
He just comes in. He's the animal nitrate in this episode, coming in for once.
Oh, totally.
I love just throw him a fish. It was a really great one too.
Yep.
Lenny thinking people eat popsicles with a wrapper on.
Yeah, and he's like, "Isn't that the best way? Doesn't it taste the best?" Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Best way. Like, you really can't taste it. So, it's cute. It's really cute. The girls simultaneously yelling Lenny, and they look at each other like, "Why did you do that?" It's great. And then he pops his head out and goes, "What?" Like, he's experienced that so many times in his life.
Oh, wait, you're talking about the call down the stupid one?
Yeah, when they call him. Yeah.
I don't think they both call Lenny's name. I think it's just Shirley that calls for Lenny, because they both
No,
yell.
it's the both of them.
Really?
I swear it's the both of them.
I got the video. I got the episode. I'm queuing this up.
Let's go with the videotape.
Let's get one of the boys down here.
All right, let's get the dumber one, though. Lenny!
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's cute. Okay. Now I know why that's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know why that's cute.
Yep. Yeah, Laverne gives her a look like, what do you mean, Squig? What do you mean Lenny's the stupid one?
Yeah. She thinks Lenny's dumber than Squiggy, and Laverne thinks that Squiggy's dumber than Lenny, which is sweet. Because she knows Lenny better, to be real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd rather be proved wrong.
Well, it's being proved wrong to make sure that your ship gets a little bit of tasty snack there.
So yes, that's cute though. And everybody calling Carmine the Ragu boy.
I think the Ragu boy's got to go down to the bus stop. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're both being scared of him.
Mm-hmm.
And Squiggy's extreme emotional bombast going, "I kill myself except my life ain't worth dying for."
I forgot that line. That's a good one. Yeah, there's some real zingers. God.
Yeah. And I hope that Sparkle Girls Sparkle was a reference to to Valley of the Dolls. Please tell me that was a reference to Valley of the Dolls. Sparkle Neely Sparkle.
Somebody
Please.
needs to tell him that. But yeah, you know what's sad?
Really
You know what's sad? I've never seen the Valley of the Dolls. I've seen parts of Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. I know. Oh.
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is so great. It's so much fun. Ebert knew what he was doing. He was satirizing everything he could get his hands on. Plus enjoying the bare boobs.
Yeah.
He was doing both at the same time.
You could do two things.
Yes, yeah, you can do that. You can do it at the same time. You can make fun of Hollywood cliches and also enjoy a great rack. A great rack of a mature adult person who is willingly showing you their rack. To be completely clear.
Yes. Someone who has decided that nudity is a beautiful thing. You know, like a, anyway, moving on.
That is liberating, like Michael.
That's the boobs you were looking for. Anyway.
Hey! I can get some options for that. Yes, go ahead.
So then we get to the actual, like, the Tada girl. You know, they decide to fill in as the Tada girls. They realize that it is way beyond what they were expecting.
Great physical comedy. Lots of fun.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, they do use a cut for the biggest gag of them all, but I do not blame them because, holy crap, I'm amazed that they actually were able to get that in the schedule that they had for this show to even have that done at all.
Yeah.
The amount of coverage, 3 cameras minimum, I would say it's probably 4 or 5 because there's just so many shots that they do. And because you get to see it from so many different angles, you keep thinking to yourself, how do the girls not kill themselves doing this? And this shows how trained this crew is for real.
Yeah. That is my consistent thought when I watch the really stunt-heavy episodes from the show. When I watched Dinner for Four, when I watched Not Quite South of the Border, when I watch things like that, the Fabian episode, it's like, how did they survive this? Michael said, aside from Penny falling, there weren't a lot of serious injuries. At one point, Penny kicked him in the forehead, and she cut him open. He had to have stitches, which was the worst injury he ever suffered. And I don't think David ever got hurt. And that's all amazing to me.
Yeah, all he did was dish out the pain on that poor defenseless script.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Multiple scripts. At least 4 at this point we've discovered. God bless that man wherever he is.
Aww.
May his memory be a blessing forever. I was going to say, my note on this whole scene is this is adorable. Dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
And it really is. And the girls' dream of being on TV is coming true. The boys' dream of finally making something out of one of their projects, their harebrained schemes, has come true. It is, in its own way, really beautiful. It's goofy, it's silly, it's funny, but it's also really beautiful. Because finally they have climbed the Mount Everest of class differences and all the oppression they've been through, all the crap they've been through educationally. You know, the fact the boys barely graduated high school, the fact that they were basically living in the gutter, all of them, they're barely able to financially make it, and here they are on national TV. That's powerful.
It is.
In its own way. In its own way it is.
I think because I can't feel that for this particular episode, that's part of why it doesn't connect with me. Because it doesn't have this, it doesn't have the speech that reminds us of that. It doesn't have the moments that are able to integrate that seamlessly into saying we're actually building towards something. Instead, it's just here's comedy, laugh, have your entertainment, buy some products that from the sponsors. Now go home. You scumbag, you scum.
Scum!
And so it just doesn't, I don't know. Yeah, like that's, because something kind of telling in a sense to me about like how disconnected that I feel, or just kind of like it seems fitting, you know, or as it were, just kind of thematically suited. There's only two actors, there's only one actor, the Anthony actor as Janos, that is credited as a guest star. There are all those acrobats, plus the two wives, and the voiceover actor for the voice, the Jetson voice.
Yeah.
We only have one person credited out of that whole bunch.
Wow.
And so the only other person they're uncredited, but they're marked as the young acrobat. So the young guy with the very poofy 70s haircut, Sean Stanek.
Yes.
I want to make sure I mention him because he was simply billed as the young acrobat, and he was trained as one. It looks like he grew up in the circus and grew up doing different things, different jobs throughout the entertainment industry ever since. And he's even written and directed a few projects in like the 2000s. He's done bit parts like in Starman, Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, one of the Gambler movies with Kenny Rogers. He went into visual effects coordination and motion capture supervising for films such as The Sixth Day, Titanic, Beowulf, various video games, including Resident Evil 5, Uncharted 2, Infamous 2, and so forth. And so my point is, what I'm trying to make this analogy here is that this guy, again, this is somebody who grew up in show business, but it's like he has created and crafted this amazing career that has grown up through the years. There's a sense of not knowing who this, like I only found out about this because I did all the research about this last night.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about this episode is something's not like that depth of what you're talking about. I don't disagree. It is all present in the scope of the show. But the episode itself, on both the script and especially on a directing standpoint, none of that is communicated to me. I don't feel that, and I don't feel it because I don't live with these characters the way that you do, as the much more intense fan of the show, and I wish that I had that connection, and I need something for this episode to give me more of that sense of they are really succeeding here. And that they get offers, and that they, we were talking about this at the end of Child's Play about how like that is an episode where like if it ended there, where they get a TV show and they make their dreams come true, and they do it by being themselves and etc., and they kind of figure out like how to make this work and how to integrate their friends and family and start planning ideas. That's kind of the interesting thing is like it's trying to have an echo of that, but then it just is like, okay, and then everything goes back to normal. And that's the thing, I get frustrated with episodic content like this. So I don't know. But that is definitely something I think that doesn't feel connected to the bigger picture. I'm having to hunt for it. I shouldn't have to hunt for it.
Yeah. Emotions will shift back and forth. It's my only advice that I got for you back. The fact that you're frustrated actually shows that you do care about the show to a degree. Otherwise, you just be like,
well, and that's the thing. I'm frustrated by that for some of these episodes that are coming up, and then there's others that like I actually don't even remember. Oh yeah, the third episode is the whatever happened to Sal. I wonder whatever became of Sal. Yeah, that one I don't care for, and we'll get to that.
We'll get that.
But anyway, that being said, I like the diary scene.
Yes, and we finally got a diary scene. It's been ages.
Mm-hmm. It's been like 2 seasons, I think.
Yes, at least. We haven't had one since Milwaukee. Surprisingly, Shirley did not pick up her diary to record the California move on screen, which is interesting in of itself.
God, that would have been amazing. Well, yeah, but then also if they had planned Road to Burbank by that point, they would have had to have let slip that something was wrong. Which actually, wait a second. That old court case could have then had her using the diary for the Rashomon sequence.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it could have been her very own blue book.
Oh.
Just like Mary Astor. Just like Mary Astor. With her diary talking about what happened to her.
Also, do you want to let the audience at home give the reminder to those who've seen the episode as to what Lenny and Squiggy are setting up the next act for their business?
The bouncing checks. Let's settle in.
They're from Prague.
Yep. They're from Prague. Bouncing checks. And they found their niche, eh?
They did. They totally did. East European acrobatic acts. It's fantastic. It's perfect. It's great. And you know what? It's very Squignowski.
Yeah, it is. It is. It really is. And they're successful. They got them on TV. Hey, that's cool. That is cool. And that's more success than they've had in ages.
And then we get Penny in pigtails in a blue jumpsuit, and it is absolutely freaking adorable, and I love it.
Yes. Talent. She can cartwheel the best of them at that point. So sweet. My last note is fucking adorable. That's what my full note on the episode entirely is fucking adorable. That's what I think of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I love even the remark, the sentiment that Shirley makes, but then to change is to grow. And as you were saying, that's where this season is kind of headed, is like they're growing up. They're changing and transforming. Yeah. And it is to grow. Yeah. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah. Our little babies are growing up and leaving the nest and figuring out what they can do with their lives and what they can do with their talents. And it's, in a way, emotional, even though it's not quite reaching you yet. But so there will be other moments where it will hit you.
There fucking better be. They're fucking...
Oh, yeah. There's a couple of really good episodes that's deeper into the season. There's some payoff episodes. There's some affecting episodes. There's some silly episodes. There's some stuff, deeper in there. You might have to put up with some Trubovich directing, but you'll get there. There's a really affecting one within the next set we're gonna watch.
Okay.
You haven't seen it yet.
All right. Yeah. So we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. So we're down to ranking this pupper.
Yeah. Want to go first?
6.5.
I'm going higher with an 8. I really like this episode.
Wow, you really like this episode.
Yeah,
Damn.
I really like this episode. It does affect me. It's got some great physical comedy, some great dialogue. The only thing I don't like is the Laverne DeFluzio stuff, but Laverne having agency enough to stand up for herself. She's not just taking the Laverne DeFluzio stuff. And she does make it right in the end. In the end, she makes it right. The show does blame her for doing this, even though it shows that it's not her fault, especially with the acrobat that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm willing to put that aside because in the end, it's almost not even about that. That's just like a setup to show how much the gang has rallied around each other and to get us to the acrobat show and to get us on TV. So, yeah, I really like this episode. I just like it more than you.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's tis what it is. But okay. Well, in any case, we still have another season, 2 seasons. Yeah. So this is the start of season 7. We'll see how this goes. I mean, it's really weird. Like, and I'm saying this on pod because I've talked to you about this privately. Is that even today specifically is. I get really excited about doing these podcast episodes. And usually when I watch the episode the first time, I don't really mind it. But what's happened since a lot of season 6 and the last few episodes of season 6, and especially with this batch of like the first 4 or 5 episodes of season 7, I get annoyed and bored. And it could just be, and as I said, it could just be burnout, but I'm really... like, this is going to be an interesting thing as we kind of get to the final stretch, because like I really do, as I have stated, I feel done. Like I feel very done. Like season 5 was it. And this is like the zombified corpse coming back from the dead. This is like that bad first Comedy Central season of Futurama. And
interesting.
And specifically some of the episodes, like what was it? The one with Leela and Zap stuck on the quote-unquote marooned planet or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. I
fucking hate that episode. So that's... And it sucks because, as said, this one feels brought down. Like there is some really good juice in there, but just something's not. I'm really curious about where the show running and producing, because the producing side of making this type of show, I mean, is a lot of what makes it what it is. That's why we've praised certain showrunners and producers through the years of television, because they're the ones that really spearhead making sure that things stay on track, that the best content is being put together, and so forth. And I mean, by this point, you figure Gary was busy off doing Young Doctors in Love, is what I figure, as well as bouncing Mork and Mindy and all that other stuff. And a lot of the talent for the writing staff had basically had a brain drain. A bunch of these, the best of the best, had kind of jumped off to other shows like Bosom Buddies, and they were doing. And the main thing is they were growing. They were going off and doing other stuff. And that's not to give Perlow and Braunstein too much flack, because I mean what they have here is strong, but like, I feel like a good producer would have looked at some of the meanness, or even just some of like the pacing or rhythm of the way things were being done, the way they're being written, the way they're being directed, and say, you need a little something extra here. Because I feel like that's what the good captain is supposed to do. There's the famous story about Bob Evans being shown a work print of The Godfather, and Coppola was trying to keep it short. And after it's over, Evans looks to Francis and says, "Where the hell's the rest of the movie?" And he's basically saying, like, I paid you to adapt the book. Where's the rest of the book? And and that's 3
hours. Give me a break.
Yeah, and because basically what he was essentially saying is, you're trying to predict what is supposed to be, and sometimes you have to listen to the work. And I guess that's my issue with an episode like this, is it's not listening to the work, and I'm noticing that's becoming common with some of these episodes. We're gonna get into the next one has more breathing room in a major sequence in the first half that really works, and and we'll get to what my theory as to why that is. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point, and I'm just basically turning this to complete wine fest. So I apologize. Hopefully, you brought some cheese to the wine fest here. So you have yourself some nice some ones with a bit of a nutty aftertaste. With some crackers. But
more Swiss.
Or Swiss. There you go. Oh man. Anywho. Does that cover everything for today? Anything else? I mean, feel free to tear apart my opinion at this point.
Yeah. But no, I think your opinion is valid, because how you feel about the episode, that's how you feel about things that are going. I have a more moderate point of view on it, because it just works better for me. For me, it just works better. It works better, and it connects with me more emotionally, in spite of this flaw that's going to continue getting worse and worse as the season goes on. But for me, the camaraderie, for me, the writing, and for me, the physical acting kind of supersedes even the flaws that I have and that I've seen in this one, and some of the directing issues. Like, there are some shots he manages to pull off. Like that shot from beneath Penny as she's being juggled on that guy's feet. That's a good shot. That's interesting.
It's a good shot.
Visually unique.
See, it's visually unique. It's interesting, but the catch is that sometimes when you get that unique of a shot, it's jarring. And that's a case of my issue with that sequence is more the editing than it is the photography. It just doesn't. I can't explain it necessarily, but it's like, if I could fix this, I would. Like, there are parts of me, speaking as a filmmaker and the person that has, I've edited all my own stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, it's driving me crazy. Yeah. It drives me cronkers.
You're looking at it from a director's point of view. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing it through a director's eyes.
Yeah.
That's why I figured why it bothers you, because you're seeing the flaws in the direction. You're seeing, I can do this better.
I mean, I don't know if I can do this better. Just there's a certain element of taste, I guess,
just
because we'll talk about that afterward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, yeah.
So
you've heard our opinions, yes.
Indeed. Okay. Well, let's get a quick word from our sponsor of the week, and then we'll come on back and we'll do our post-amble and talk about what's coming up next week. Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody, so much for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, please follow us on Twitter at Night After Night PC or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, and YouTube to get yourself in on these Laverne and Shirley shenanigans. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comments below on YouTube or just drop us a line and, let us know how we're doing. See if do you have stronger feelings about California years? Do you think that that I am some sort of uncultured swine? Well, first of all, go fuck yourself. I don't care. But anyway, what do we have? I feel like I'm in pain here for a second. What are we dealing with next week, Lisa?
Shirley breaks Laverne's jaw after her morning's reminiscence turns sour, and the girls have to pick up the shredded shards of the relationship. This is It Only Hurts When I Breathe.
Ah, yeah, that's what it is. It only hurts when I breathe. I guess I might as well go lie down and die. All right. See you next week, folks.
Don't date an acrobat if he's not wearing any socks. Bye, y'all.